Hi, welcome to my video. Today I am going to do my presentation, which is about the 54th paper, Expectations as Endowments, Evidence on Reference Dependent Preference from Exchange and Valuation Experiments by Case and Marjorie Erickson and Andreas Visitor. If you have any questions about this presentation, please leave a comment under this video or Cyber Campus. I will answer it as soon as possible. The main theme of this paper is expectation and reference point. In our behavior economics class, we studied about loss aversion and reference point from lecture 2 to lecture 6. We are already known that people are normally loss aversion and their reference point is usually based on status quo. And by this reference point, they choose the way of consumption. However, in this paper, they ask a question: is reference point only based on loss aversion? Is there any other determinant factor of reference point? So, they make a theory about expectation and study hypotheses, draw ways to observe people's behavior. In this study, researchers analyzed the determinant of the individual reference point. They choose three factors of the determinants. First one is classic, which means simply mathematical plus or minus of each object utility. Second is status quo, same as loss aversion. And third one is expectation. In this paper, researchers' goal is figuring out correlation between reference point and expectation. They prepared two experiments which analyze their hypothesis affects preferences. The first experiment is, does expectation affect the exchange behavior? In this experiment, researchers study about which standard affects to subject behavior, which means exchange. The second experiment is, does expectation affect to the value of object? This experiment suggests that the subject will be given a mug with a specific probability, and they ask, how much is its value? In first experiments, the subject is informed by the researchers that he will receive one mug. And here that subject have a choice to exchange mug with a pen. After a while, the researchers asked to the subject about whether the exchange is available. The researchers draw a reference point, draw the utility of the pen and the utility of the mug, and write a formula about the exchange determination. Suppose utility is U and the coefficient of reference point is R. If the reference point is given by the status quo, and that status is that the individual owns the mug but not the pen, and they decide to keep their status on, then we simply have a function U times R mug equal to U mug, and U times R pen equal to 0. In expectation cases, if the individual plans not to exchange, subject's reference point is same as in the status quo cases. In exchange cases, however, individual acts to maximize his expected utility within reference point and choose the plan that leads to the highest expected utility. It means expected utility of exchange is higher than keeping mug, so exchange occurs. Therefore, as a result of the first experiment, we can see that expectation affects exchange selection, which partially affects the reference point. In the case which does not exchange, the exchange utility function of expectation is similar with the reference point of status quo, but the utility function of those who choose to exchange reveals the effect of expectation. The second experiment. First, the subjects throw a coin. When one comes out on the upper side, subject will get a mug with 10% probability. And if 9 comes out at the bottom of the coin, they will get a mug with 90% probability. In order to find out the correlation between value calculation and exchange for mugs in the intermediate process, subjects are asked whether to exchange the mug that are expected to get with a pen. Then, the subject goes to the new experiment and throw another coin. This time subject can get number 1 or 8. Each number endows 10% probability and 80% probability of getting a mug. After this, researchers asked subjects about the price of a mug which is expected to receive. The subjects' choices are as follows. Subjects that have a 10% chance of being able to exchange are significantly less likely to be willing to exchange than subjects that have a 90% chance. The proportion of subjects who choose to exchange the mug for the pennies is 22.7% in lower percentage and 56.5% in higher percentage. After this experiment, at the question that how much this mug is, subjects who have a higher chance of living with this mug value the mug significantly higher than subjects who have a lower chance of living with the mug. $4.1 was average value in 80% group, and $3.7 was average value in 10% group. Therefore, as a result of second experiment, we can see that expectation affects value which is related to reference point. They value higher things that are more likely to receive and assume their exchange or monetary value based on expected percentage, which was probability in that experiment. To sum up, the first experiment is that the choice does not exchange is derived from the same result as the existing loss aversion theory, but the exchange option can explain the exchange choice only if expectation factor is included. So, we can say that expectation effects are exist in reference point. Through the second experiment, the higher probability expected to gain, the higher the value it puts on its mark. It also shown that reference point affected by the expectation. However, by the case of failure to exchange in the first experiment, the reference point is not entirely determined by expectation. Result of this research is this: individual's reference point is determined, at least in part, by expectation. Through the simple experiment of previous two, we can see that expectation affects the reference point, and this theory is useful to explain or prove such cases like choice that are affected by future exchange activities or future incomes. And this is the end of my presentation. Thank you for watching.